All right, welcome back to episode 252 of the God and Gun podcast. I'm your host, Troy.
I'm your other host, Doug.
We use this podcast to talk about God, guns, and the responsible Christian gun owners' interest. On this week's show, we'll be talking to Mike Giaranita. He goes by Mike G. And, and we'll be talking about the upcoming New Jersey gun right lawsuit that Doug might have something to do with. Mike, welcome on the show.
Hey, thank you guys so much for having me back. I appreciate it.
We're glad to have you. It's always good to catch up with you and see how things are going. So before we get into the nuts and bolts of all this thing going on, our listeners have heard that you've got a radio show and now you've got some TV appearances, I hear.
Yeah, it's a busy time for gun rights in this country on all fronts. So I've been doing the media, as we spoke about last time. I don't think I had my own show at that point, but I was doing legal analyst work on a show called We the People, The Constitution Matters on Fox News Radio WFYL in the Philadelphia area. Shortly thereafter, I was given my own show. It's called Mike G in the Morning, The Law Matters, and that airs every Friday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern, Fox News Radio, WFYL. We talk about a lot of Second Amendment stuff. As you know, Troy, you've been a special guest on the program before.
Yeah, that was nice. Got a nice thing of cigars out of that.
I heard they came just in the nick of time, too, right?
Just as I was out, my last one, man.
Oh,
perfect. As I was going on,
divine intervention, right?
Yeah, as I was on my way to Montana, I got him out of the mailbox out as I was going out the driveway. So it was a lifesaver.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, it's good to have guests like you on the program. And I've been doing some TV appearances as well on Newsmax TV. And if anybody hasn't checked out Newsmax TV yet, you really should, because they're really making waves in the conservative movement.
Great. So let's dive into this. We've got a lawsuit that Doug has enjoined somehow here, and let us know what all this is about.
And Doug is one of the plaintiffs. This is a lawsuit that everybody needs to check out. It has to do with reciprocity. Now, as all of our listeners likely know at this point in time, national reciprocity is something that was planned on getting through legislatively. I mean, the House passed it, and it was supposed to be going to the Senate to see if we could get a national reciprocity bill through, and it didn't happen. The Republicans frankly blew it. They had the House, they had the Senate, they had the presidency, and they sat on their hands. They were a bunch of chickens, and they didn't get it done.
Paul Ryan.
Well, there's plenty of blame to be passed around. There's plenty of people to blame in that scenario. But the bottom line is that national reciprocity is something that's absolutely necessary for law-abiding gun owners, because gun laws can be an absolute minefield, particularly in places like New Jersey, places like Maryland, and places that are strictly anti-gun and have these gun laws that really lead to the prosecution of what I call accidental criminals. People have no intention of harming anybody, no intention of breaking the law, but because of misinformation, being uninformed, they end up falling victims to the criminal justice system. This is a little bit of a different angle when it comes to reciprocity with our lawsuit. And essentially, it's not so much about guns as it is the government following the law. So here's what it comes down to. The nitty-gritty is that under the Constitution, this isn't necessarily a Second Amendment-based claim. It's based on the full faith and credit clause under the Constitution. And under the full faith and credit clause, states have to honor out-of-state judgments, out-of-state court orders, court documents. And it says that Congress will prescribe the mechanism by which these court orders, court documents will be certified and be accepted out of state. Congress has done so. And the legal theory here is that in certain states, license to carry are issued by way of court order, Georgia being one of them, Delaware being another one. And we didn't get to every single one of them. That's what this particular case deals with. And New Jersey also happens to issue, it's what they call a permit to carry over there by way of court order. So the bottom line is that our legal argument is that if someone was issued a license to carry by way of court order, they're granted that license by way of court order in one state, as long as it's certified in the mechanism prescribed by statute, then it must be honored in another state that has that same kind of mechanism to issue a license to carry. So in this particular case, you've got Doug, who's out of Georgia, has a court order out of Georgia giving him that license to carry. And we've got our other plaintiff, Tom Mueller, great guy out of Delaware. He's got his court order issuing his license to carry. Our contention is that New Jersey must honor these under the full faith and credit clause of the Constitution, as well as the federal statute that prescribes the mechanism by which to have these things certified. That's it in a nutshell.
So will that give Doug the ability to carry his own gun into the state of New Jersey and go to Anthony's gun range and blast away?
Finally, and we frankly talk about a lot of that in the lawsuit, in the complaint, right. And I encourage everybody to check it out. There are articles out there, and check out the complaint itself, because we talk about how there's really no way to lawfully visit New Jersey even without a permit to carry if you have a handgun with you, because the only major exemption is having a permit to carry. Problem is they don't honor any out-of-state licenses, or they don't purport to, at least. We might force them to by way of this lawsuit. I hope we do too. But aside from that, you must be within exemption to lawfully possess a handgun. And there are only so many exemptions. If you fall outside that exemption by just a little bit, well, then you're committing a crime that's a felony crime and has a mandatory minimum of 3.5 years in state prison with no opportunity for parole and no discretion by the judge, meaning you were going to jail for 3.5 years, period. End of discussion. So somebody like Doug, who wishes to come on over to New Jersey and train, it is basically impossible under New Jersey law right now, because they don't even talk about temporary lodging. As a matter of fact, there was a case called the Revell case, and the court actually said that while he was in his hotel with his handgun, he was outside of exemption, so he was committing a crime. So somebody who wants to visit and can't drive directly to and from the range from their residence has no way to lawfully possess a handgun in New Jersey. So that's one thing that'll be opened up by way of this lawsuit.
Well, a point in case that for this crazy nonsense that they have in New Jersey is Shanine Allen, which we've talked about on the show a lot of times.
Absolutely.
And use her. I mean, she just made a wrong turn, went across the bridge, and a cop pulled her over for a lane change violation or something. And she did exactly what she should have done. She told him she had a gun in the car, what she was taught in Pennsylvania. You know, let them know you have a gun, and it got her thrown in jail.
Well, I'm not sure she did the right thing in that situation, all things considered, by making that disclosure. Particularly in Pennsylvania, you have no legal obligation to do so. Now, many states do impose that legal obligation to immediately make that disclosure. Listen, I lived in Oklahoma for many years. I was licensed to carry over there. That better be the first thing out of your mouth if you're over in one of those states that requires disclosure. But in this situation, you know, we do have constitutional rights against self-incrimination and things of that nature. There's no duty imposed in that situation. But Shanine Allen is a perfect example of this. And I'm glad you brought that up, because we actually cited her case in the complaint itself. We talked about how this is a particular issue, how she had her license to carry, and because she was outside of exemption and New Jersey doesn't honor any licenses to carry, that she ended up in a whole mess. Evan Knappen was ultimately her counsel who got that resolved. But this was after she spent, I think, over 60 days in jail, racked up over $90,000 in attorney's fees. This was a very, very life-changing experience, to say the least, for Shanine Allen.
Well, so New Jersey doesn't have a requested, or you don't have to disclose if you're in there, you get pulled over by a cop. It's
such a non-issue. You know, a lot of these states put a statute on the books that specifically outlines the way you're supposed to handle things if you're pulled over and you're lawfully licensed to carry. New Jersey has very few mechanisms in place regarding all that stuff. Reason being, listen, they've got over 8 million residents and fewer than 600 people have a license to carry. Oh, wow. And you first got to find a unicorn, and then after you find the unicorn and get a lock of its mane, then you can get a permit to carry in New Jersey.
From a lawyer question, this has nothing to do with the case. From a lawyer's question, if we have the right not to self-incriminate, and a cop asks us if we have any guns in the vehicle, do we have to declare that?
So you're talking, some states by statute prescribe as to whether, if you're licensed to carry, what you're consenting to do in these situations, right? So you'll have certain states that outline specifically the way that interaction is supposed to go. But you know, even in situations, you're talking about a situation where somebody is lawfully authorized to carry, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's prescribed by way of statute in many of the states. Pennsylvania, we don't have any such thing other than you must present the license upon lawful demand.
But you didn't answer the question.
What's that?
The question being that if you have the right to not self-incriminate, can they ask you what you have in the car? Do you have to tell them?
Well,
I understand that certain laws if you have a license, but like in New York,
right? Okay.
My reciprocity thing says I don't have to tell them I have a gun if I get pulled over in New York with my permit, but I can't carry concealed.
Respectfully, I decline to make any statements, and I don't consent to any searches. That's the bottom line, right?
Hey, that's on
I retain all my rights.
Invoke the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th, right?
Right.
What's that? I don't get respectfully. I don't consent to any searches. I refuse to make any statements, and please get me an attorney immediately. I'm not making any statements without an attorney, and that would be the end of that. But I think that most of our listeners, you got two different contexts under which this would come into play, and that's what I was really getting at. The fact that if you're somebody who's lawfully issued a license in a place like, let's say, Oklahoma, then you're agreeing to certain procedures and protocols by way of submitting to that license. And that's where you get those schemes, basically, of law enforcement officers approaching and during the interactions you being required to disclose. But if you're in a situation where you weren't prescribed such a license or anything like that, in one of these states where you would be essentially incriminating yourself by doing so, I think you got a serious constitutional issue. Absolutely.
Okay.
And I will say this: in New Jersey, there are certain mechanisms by which you can get what they call pretrial intervention. On certain gun cases, you really have to get a Graves Act waiver because it's so strict over there. The Graves Act imposed all kinds of mandatory minimums and mandatory punishments on people who had firearms possessory offenses. But there are certain things about the interaction that need to go a certain way in order for you to be given or even eligible for one of those Graves Act waivers.
Okay. Well, back now to the lawsuit. So I know you guys have got a GoFundMe page to try to help fund this.
Actually, it's called Go Get Funding. Go Get Funding. Yeah.
Okay. And so we need people to help support this to get it into the courts and get it ruled upon. So what is the link? Do you guys have a link established? I know Doug had posted one on Facebook, I think.
I did.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first article came out about the lawsuit on AmmoLand. And right at the bottom of that article, they've got the link. I can certainly send that over to you guys. But really,
we can put it in the show notes. I just wanted to make sure people knew that it was out there.
Yeah. I think people need to understand that this isn't just about Georgia, Delaware, and New Jersey. This is really something that's going to impact gun ownership and law-abiding gun owners on a bigger scale throughout the country. If you're somebody who even believes in the rule of law, let's say you're not even a gun owner. If you're somebody who believes in our Constitution and believes that the government should follow the law and that the people have an interest in the government following the law, then you're on our team. You're on our side for the purposes of this lawsuit. It goes so much further beyond guns, so much further beyond these three states. So I hope that a lot of people get on board. U.S. Law Shield has been generous in helping us get off the ground with respect to the initiation of this lawsuit. But Evan and I have taken on this representation on a pro bono basis because we really believe in the cause.
Great. So you said 3 states are involved in this?
Yeah, because you've got Doug, who's a plaintiff from Georgia. You've got Tom, who's a plaintiff from Delaware. And then you've got New Jersey, who we're trying to blow up the system.
I got you. Now, you guys imagine this probably is going to have to go way up through. It'll go through the state, you think it's going to go into the federal?
Well, so this actually is initiated in federal court.
Okay,
so we're in district court in New Jersey.
Because it involves 3 different states. It's above
all 3 different states, right? And it's also a federal question. There are different reasons why you could get jurisdiction in a federal court. One of them being is if the issue is founded in federal question, and it's a clear constitutional issue and federal statute issues. So we've got jurisdiction in federal court. And if this goes up beyond there, it'll be the Third Circuit, which is the same court of appeals that heard the magazine capacity restrictions over in New Jersey. And then if it goes even further than that, you know where we're going.
Yeah.
Going to the Supremes.
Yeah, you're going to have to get a lot more funding on getting before the Supremes. It's going to require everybody to kick in.
That's the truth, brother.
We'll get to see Brett Kavanaugh.
What's that?
We'll get to go see Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see the way he goes on certain things. I've liked what I've seen out of Justice Gorsuch so far with respect to the Second Amendment. Seems to be right on point and not really tap dancing around anything, which is good to see. So it'll be interesting to get Kavanaugh's take and see the way he rules on some of these issues as well.
How about some of the other gun cases that are at the Supreme Court now waiting to be heard? What's the status on some of those? I know you've been following them as a second rights promoter. There's New Jersey's got one, New York's got one. Was it New York Gun Club or something?
Rifle and Pistol Association. Okay. Basically, that's the one that's going to have the biggest impact on everything else. It's almost like a lot of what happens in these other cases may depend upon what happens in that case. But then again, the court has an option to punt in this situation. And what I mean is this. New York kind of made this a non-issue before the court by going back and changing its own ordinance. So the ordinance, as it was written and as it was challenged, no longer exists. That is not the ordinance in New York anymore. They went back and they changed it in hopes that they would moot it out, tell the court, hey, this is no longer an issue. You guys shouldn't be ruling on this because this is no longer the law. Now, Gorsuch, during the oral arguments, didn't seem to like that idea, but some of the other ones seemed like they might be inclined to punt, as I like to call it, because they don't have to actually rule on the meat of the issue. They don't have to rule on whether something like this would violate the Second Amendment, how far the Second Amendment goes. And the Supreme Court, listen, Justice Thomas called it the disfavored right. It's treated as the disfavored right because they'll select cases on all these different issues year after year. But with the Second Amendment, they seem to be very, very picky and only select a case every now and then and only give us just a little bit as to how they're interpreting the Second Amendment and get all this freedom to infringe upon our rights, unfortunately. So with the New York case, if they do actually rule on the issues and give us some kind of interpretation of the Second Amendment, then that may very well impact these other cases. If they moot it out, then it's just the justices not really wanting to address the issue.
What about the case that Anthony was talking about a lot? Is there a case there in New Jersey about what the governor's done that they're fighting over? I haven't been able to keep up on it.
There's several cases going on in New Jersey right now. One has to do with the magazine capacity restrictions. Another one has to do with their permit to carry scheme in general, as to whether or not what they have in place right now is even constitutional. And listen, if they ultimately determine at the federal level that this is not constitutional, this is so restrictive that you're essentially denying the right, and the Second Amendment absolutely encompasses this right that you're denying, then that would be something that impacts people as well. So the way I see it is that if you've got a bunch of different interested parties who are going after these oppressors, as I like to call them, these government oppressors who are going out there and they're restricting people's rights, and we get a bunch of people going after them, attacking from different angles, then I don't see why that's a bad thing. I don't see why there shouldn't be several challenges, because this is just people holding the government accountable. Right. When the government can do whatever it wants, listen, that's a bad scenario for everybody that's involved. I think we could all agree with that.
Speaking about that, what about this Virginia mess? It's insane what they're trying to do there now.
I'll tell you this, Pennsylvania is one election away from being a Virginia. And I think that Virginia should be a wake-up call for everybody.
Yeah.
Last time I was on Newsmax TV, they were asking me about Texas potentially turning blue and how this is a legitimate possibility. And if Texans want to see what their fate will be, all they have to do is take one look at New Jersey, take one look at Virginia. Listen, even in New Jersey, if every single gun owner had gone out and voted against King Philip, as they like to call him, Governor Murphy, then it would have been mathematically impossible for him to win. But they didn't. So really what happened, there was one of two things. Either these voters decided it wasn't important enough to go out there and vote, or they did vote, but they didn't think the Second Amendment was important enough to vote against him, found some other reason to vote for him, whether it's a pension fund or something like that. And really, ultimately, they're seeing what happens when you do things like that. Virginia's seen the same thing. It's almost overnight. It's almost
yeah.
okay that this stuff is happening.
Well, they're passing a lot of this stuff in the middle of the night. Late in the night, they're passing this stuff, and then we find out the next morning, oh, now we can't take guns on the grounds. Oh, now we're going to be put, if we show up there where we put through a metal detector and put into a detention camp on the lawn of the Capitol, away from the building far enough that nobody could actually hear you protest. I mean, I don't see where he gets that kind of. I mean, that's like king type ruling there. He just makes the rules up as he goes, and is going to turn people into felons for showing up to talk to their representatives.
Absolutely, there's an absolute chilling effect with these kinds of laws, and they got a specific agenda, and we know they do, and they know they do. And that's what happens with this New Jersey case. Going back to it, really, there's a huge chilling effect when it comes to gun ownership in New Jersey, because it's so difficult to be a law-abiding gun owner over there. At any given moment, you could become a felon. You could become a criminal who spends years in prison, who loses all kinds of rights, not only the right to own and possess firearms, but the right to vote and the ability to hold all kinds of different jobs as a felon, right? So you have people who just stay away from it because they don't want to deal with that possibility. And that's what they're doing in Virginia. They want to make it so difficult for people to lawfully own firearms that they just decide, you know what, it's really not worth the headache. It's not worth the risk of exercising this constitutional right. And that is a shame.
Well, that's like in Virginia right now, all the stuff that he's coming up with, he's just trying to deter people from coming from other states to help these guys out in Virginia. And that's the only reason he's doing it. He's trying to make it as difficult as possible. And all this crap about a state of emergency with all this fake media stuff that he's saying that they had credible threats and this and that, and he's making it out to be something that is not.
So here's the irony for me, Doug. I'm sorry to interject, but when you said that, he's saying that people from hate groups are coming. The man who wore blackface in the KKK out in college is saying that hate groups are going to come and they're going to cause problems. The same.
His college buddies are coming.
Yeah.
His college buddies are showing up, right?
Soros, a former Nazi. Soros is a former Nazi. He worked, collecting the money from the Jews in Poland? Was he in Poland? And he was a Nazi kid that went around and helped raid the Jewish homes and stuff. He is hiring Antifa types to come into the Virginia and start something. So there's your credible source of hate groups right there.
Unfortunately,
it's unbelievable.
These people are ignorant to the law-abiding gun-owning culture, and that's the bottom line. If they're not gun owners, they don't know any gun owners. I know they all claim to know somebody who hunts, right? I believe in hunting, and I believe in shotguns and all this stuff. That's a lie. And, all of us gun owners know that that's completely made up. It's completely bogus. They're just saying that to appear like they're reasonable. But anybody who's a law-abiding gun or a legitimate gun owner is not buying it. And the fact is that because they don't have these common interactions with law-abiding citizens who own firearms, they're frankly scared of gun owners. I think as if there's something wrong with gun owners, like we're scary people or something. But I'll tell you what, and a guy who says that we're going to deliver a baby, have a conversation, decide what to do with it while we keep it comfortable, I think that's more scary than a gun owner, if you ask me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, he talks about infanticide like it's no big deal, but it's the media who portrays gun owners as kooky, crazy, and backwoods, and the banjos playing kind of a thing. It's not that it happened this year. I mean, I can remember back at Lethal. What was that Mel Gibson and Danny Glover movies back in the 80s and 90s?
Lethal Weapon.
Every one of them had anti-gun stuff, although they were shooting the whole time through the movie.
Right.
There was symbology of no the NRA, no gun symbols all over the movie. There's these flashes of things that I'm like, wait, what was that? And I back it up like, there's a no gun or no NRA and all this stuff. All these things have been plugged into the Americans' mindset through movies and TV and music and everything, that guns are bad, guns are evil, and it's by program. They want to disarm us. It's just, and they've taken the last 30 years to do it, but it's all coming to roost right now.
There's no question about it. I always find it comical when you got actors who get on there and want to talk about how we need to end gun violence. They have no idea what they're talking about with respect to statistics or anything. But never mind that. I mean, these are people who collect a paycheck to run around with a gun all day, right? Get on a screen for 2 hours and run around with a gun, and then they want to talk about moral values to everybody else. It's hypocritical at best. That would be the best way to describe it, right?
Well, I mean, the only way to counteract it, and it's not going to happen overnight, is if we can keep our guns long enough to train up the next few generations and guns, how to handle guns, the uses of guns, properly be able to shoot a gun, be safe with a gun. I mean, we've all, as gun owners, have to get those kids out there and teach them, and you get the parents of the kids to come along with them and teach them too, and become, evangelist for the gun rights community. And it's not to go hunting; it's that we have that to protect us from a tyrannical government. We have to make sure that we're not just teaching them just about hunting, but the civics side of it, or that the people being armed was the last wall of defense to keep tyrants from ruling us. And so,
if you look at the historical context, there's no question about it. Look at the quotes from our founding fathers at the time. But the problem is you get people like Rachel Maddow one of her famous quotes was, it's a radical view that the Second Amendment was in place to protect the citizens from a tyrannical government. And when you have people pushing things like that, and people scared of people who want to own and possess firearms for nothing more than an option to protect themselves and their loved ones, this is what happens. There's no question about it. And you have places like New York where people aren't educated with respect to firearms, and their attitude is, let's keep children away from firearms. We're going to make sure that they know nothing about them. Well, we know that doesn't work. It's the complete opposite view they take when it comes to things like drugs, right? They say we want to educate that we're sex, right? We want to have more education, expose them to them because they're never going to abstain, right? But with guns, for some reason, no, we got to take this completely different approach. And you see the problems that they have over there when they're not educated and they don't grow up around that and they're not taught the proper respect for the tool. And, years ago, I had a gentleman tell me, listen, Mike, I grew up in Louisiana, and when I was a teenager during hunting season, every single truck in that parking lot had a firearm in it. And guess what?
Oh, yeah.
Nobody shot up the school. And that shows you that it's not the access to firearms that's the issue right now, because it has never been more difficult to get a gun in the United States, period. That's just a fact. We never had more stringent laws when it comes to this stuff. So if access to firearms clearly isn't the issue, there's something else going on. And we could talk more about the culture of the United States and the moral values that we have that are on the decline in the United States. But another thing is the education. And you often hear people say, I think that you should require X, Y, and Z in order to own a firearm in the United States. You should take a test or get a license or whatever it may be. Now, I'm never one to say that you should put some kind of restriction on a constitutional right. But something somebody mentioned on my show that I thought was pretty profound. He said, well, why don't we just make gun education, firearm safety training and education mandatory in high school?
Right.
That way everybody has to go through it, right? So everybody is educated, whether you want to use it or not. What's wrong with a little bit of knowledge? And so next time somebody says something about you should have to have training or education in order to get a firearm, just propose that to them. Their head will explode, I promise.
Oh, it will. It will.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we were like other countries, as soon as you left high school, you had to serve in the country's military for an average of 2 years. I mean, most of European countries have that kind of thing that you got to go learn military service, learn how to use a rifle, learn how to defend your country, and then you could go on to college or on to whatever you wanted to afterwards. I mean, so I even sort of have a thing that would, I think that would probably help people be more patriotic, be more well-rounded as a citizen, that if they had to do the civics and the training of a military type training for a couple of years.
Troy, that just shows how old-fashioned you are. Because the more responsible thing to do is take out $100,000 in loans and get a degree in basket weaving. Yeah. That'll be much better off for everybody.
Yeah. Or was it gender studies? We need gender studies. That's a doctoral degree nowadays. 75,000 different genders.
I never understand though, Troy. Is I went to this bathroom in New Jersey, and they got all these different symbols on there, 95 different things that are included in that particular bathroom. I said, why don't they just call it a bathroom? Right?
Yeah, that would work.
That would have been the same. That would have been you had the same point across if you just called it a bathroom, right?
Or just make all bathrooms single bathrooms. Only one person could go in there unless you want to take somebody else in there with you. But I mean, just you go in there, you lock the door. It's your, you get to use it.
That's all this thing was, Troy. That's all. It was a bathroom for a single person. They were just letting you know that whatever gender you were under the sun that you were aware of, you're allowed to go in there. Well, if you just said bathroom and you didn't make it specific to anything, then I would have gotten the same point, right?
Well, if you go in there and there's not feminine hygiene products and male some kind of products, I don't know what that would be.
Urinals
hanging on the wall, and then you need some rainbow flavored something up there.
It depends on what
you gotta be all inclusive.
It depends on what you choose to relate to that day.
They're overcomplicating things. It's out of control, and we're going to see a lot more of this when the debates keep going. I think on the other side, but I think going down a little bit of a rabbit hole. But I'm having fun, guys.
I think the PC culture has overplayed itself. I think that people have gotten to the point now where they're just, it's just a joke. Like we're laughing our butts off here. The PC culture is just for. It's just to try to control people. I mean, that's all it is. It's a control mechanism by which people who have no control try to control others and limit their speech, limit their ability to express themselves. As an attack on the First Amendment. And it should be completely laughed off the stage like it used to be back 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, well, I hear the term toxic masculinity a whole lot, right? Have you guys heard that one lately?
That's awful judgmental.
Yeah. Well, I think so as well. But they were telling a professor not to move his hands when he spoke because they were perceived as microaggressions. Can you believe? How do you shut an Italian guy up? Right? You tie up his hands. We can't hardly talk without moving our hands.
I thought certain fingers were free speech. I don't know.
Every
Trump rally, I see free speech fingers up everywhere. I don't know.
Well, Doug was the plaintiff in this lawsuit. Maybe you'll be the plaintiff in the fingers lawsuit. Get that one going over here. But it's absolutely out of control. But you're completely right. The bottom line is their goal is to bring us to a position where we're under their control. Right. And how do you do that? You can't do it with masculine people, can you? Right? Because the people over history who have protected from tyranny and things of that nature. So you make it seem taboo to be the least bit masculine. You're toxically masculine. Or if you're explaining anything, you're mansplaining, right? They even talk about the train, if your legs are too wide, you're manspreading, right? They got all these different terms for us, things that we can't do. Can't move your hands. And you get people who are afraid to offend anybody. I think that we should go in the other direction now. I think the bottom line is maybe some people need to toughen up. What do you think?
I think so.
I think so. Like this deal in Virginia that they got going on right now, that just shows you right there. Georgia's legislature is in session right now also, and they've got a bill that's been put on the floor that this girl wants to ban every semi-automatic weapon of any kind. And people are like, oh, this is Georgia, that's not going to happen. I'm like, look at Virginia. It's only been, 17 days since he got in office?
You know it.
What's happening to him. I mean, their whole world is flipped upside down.
Everybody who's listening to this program right now, I don't care what state you're in. You cannot have that it won't happen to my state attitude, period. The days of that are over. It can't happen anymore because look at places like Virginia, look at places like New Jersey. It can absolutely happen to you. And
even in Kentucky, it's doing. I mean, we've got a Democratic governor now. And as soon as he was elected, there was like 14 different bills that popped up, anti-gun bills. It popped up that the Democrats wanted to shove through. As soon as they had a Democratic governor, they wanted to repeal this law, the constitutional carry we just got last year. They're already ready. and of course we've got a majority in the Republican House and the Senate here in Kentucky. It's not going to happen this term, but if they keep flipping, we'll be in the same boat.
You're always one election away. And that's why every time these things come out, you have to contact your representatives, period. We had something in Pennsylvania that was proposed last year called the Firearms Registration Act, right? Did you hear about that? They wanted to register every single firearm every single year, pay every single year, provide fingerprints, provide photographs. Listen, guys, this is what they do to pedophiles, right? Mm-hmm. This is what happens when you're a sex offender. Next thing
I don't think they do that to pedophiles.
Yeah, right. It's not even that bad, right?
No, you get in trouble for outing pedophiles.
They're going to have us knocking on people's doors. Just so you know, I just moved to the neighborhood and I'm a law-abiding gun owner. And people heard this stuff. They came to me. They said, Mike, you know, there's not a snowball's chance that this is going to pass. And I said, the minute you take that attitude is the minute something like this gets through. And we're seeing this happen all over the place. You can't let your guard down, because I'm afraid that if it happens this time around, that it's going to be irreversible.
Right. Right. Yeah, they'll have you wearing a Star of David or something on your shirt, you know, going around.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, every time a socialist gets in charge, they want to build concentration camps and make laws to put people in prison who would have not been a criminal before they came into office.
Right. Absolutely. But even in situations like that, people have that same attitude that it can't happen to us, right? All throughout history, they've only gotten to that point because people had this "it can't happen to us" attitude.
Yeah.
It's exactly the attitude people are unfortunately taking when it comes to their gun rights in this country right now. When it comes to certain specific states, but you have to just take a look around and understand what is going on right now and why we need to stand up right now. You know, some people might see what we're doing in New Jersey and say, well, Mike, you know, New Jersey is a lost cause. New Jersey might as well be a different country. That's like saying only that part of the boat is sinking, right? Mm-hmm. Every single person has a stake in what's going on over there. If we don't stand and fight in New Jersey, then guess what? We're all going to run out of places to move. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can only go so far.
The problem is they take over one state and then they start moving. Look at Texas right now. All the people migrating out of California go down to Texas and want to change Texas law now because it doesn't fit their California mentality. Well, if you like California, so well, go back there.
Yeah. Well, what happens is they institute these policies and they can't afford to live there anymore, right? And you know, the quality of life has gone down so much that they have to go somewhere else, but they bring the policies with them. We've seen it happen in Colorado. We've seen it happen on the East Coast, people moving out of New Jersey, going to Delaware. They got some severely anti-gun laws over there that were recently passed. And, we're seeing it happen even as far as North Carolina.
It happens here in Kentucky. It's happening here in Kentucky. We've got people that have flooded in from all these states that are failing out of the Rust Belts. They've all come down here and they start voting for Democrats. And they come out of New York to come here to retire because cost of living is a lot less. Their pensions will go a lot further. Yeah. And then they start flipping seats because they're coming in here and they're getting on the social welfare programs. It's a mess.
The same policies that chased them out of their homes.
Right.
They're looking to implement in these new states. Guys, let's wake up here. Let's take a look at what's going on. This is a problem. Let's get this fixed.
Yeah, Florida's on the way down too.
That's another one. You know, it really can happen anywhere, and that's why people gotta wake up. You know, it could happen any given time, any given state. So
that's what's happening in Texas. Is Californians are moving out of California because the cost of living. They could buy 3 times the house and with land in Texas for what they pay for out there in California, and their pensions go a lot further, and they come there and vote for the same garbage, you know. Yeah. Well, we fixed all the problems. I guess we need to just.
That's it. Case closed.
Case closed. I know your time's valuable. We appreciate you coming on, Doug. You got anything else?
I'm looking for. Hey, do we know when it might hit the courts?
So what happens next is we filed the lawsuit and we've got to serve it upon all the defendants. So once they get successfully served, then they have to file an answer, or they might file what they call a motion to dismiss, but they've got to file a responsive pleading of some kind. And then it'll be our job to take it from there. Depending on which way they respond, we'll have something different to do as the next step in the game. But you know, I'm really looking forward to it. I really hope that everybody gets on board. This is a really important cause. And, you know, I really, I'm honored to have the opportunity to represent you, Doug.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate having you as my lawyer. I like it.
You got it. You got it. Troy, thank you so much for having me back.
No problem. So again, plug your show, and if guys need to reach you for legal matters up there in the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania area, which states are you working in now?
Pennsylvania, New Jersey. I've got a case pro hoc vice in Virginia coming up next month. But Pennsylvania, New Jersey, you can check out my website, glawpa.com, glawpa.com. Radio shows Mike G in the morning. Check out Newsmax TV if you haven't already. You'll probably see me pop up in there in the near future talking about the lawsuit.
Hey, so you practice in Virginia now?
No, pro hoc vice. So this is for one particular case. An attorney who I've worked with in the past has asked me to join his trial team for a self-defense case down there that he's got coming up. So I agreed to come on down there. I've had this happen in the past where people call me from Louisiana or wherever, and they say, we know you've got an expertise on a particular area of the law. Can you come on down and be a part of the trial team? And you file papers with the court to be admitted just for that case. Pro hoc vice is a fancy Latin phrase, which really means you're just getting admitted for that case. That's all.
So if Doug and I get thrown the Hooskow up in Virginia,
absolutely, I could
holler at you, or you got friends in town, huh?
You bet. You know, one of the instructors from Texas that I work with said that I'm his favorite lawyer. He loves the way I present and he loves the way I act in the courtroom. And if he shoots anybody in Texas, he's going to drag the body into Pennsylvania so I can represent him. It's a joke. Do not do that. Do not do that.
No, don't touch the body.
I was trying that flattering.
Hey, well, Troy and I may be calling you come Monday afternoon sometime. I told my boss at work today. I said, "Look, I'm going to Virginia this weekend, and if your phone rings and it's a Virginia number, answer it because that might be the only call I get."
I might need bail.
Hey, call the U.S. Law Shield emergency line. I've got that one on me 24 hours a day, so you'd be good to go.
All right, Mike. We appreciate you coming on. Anytime you got an update, let us know.
Will do. God bless, guys.
Hey, thanks, Mike.
All right. So that's our buddy Mike. We appreciate him coming on, getting us up to speed on the case and all.
It's going to be interesting.
It shall be very interesting. All right, so let's roll back into the show. Bandwidth sponsor, Farms Radio Network. We want to thank the guys, gals over at Farms Radio Network. If you've not checked out the other shows over there, please check them out. And remember, some of those shows are a little bit out there. But, filter them before you let your kids watch them. Also, I want to thank you. Go choke on those?
No, I'm good. Well, I was good. Crossbreed holsters. Hey, if you are carrying a gun, if I got one of those too.
Okay.
If you're carrying a gun, you should have it in a nice holster. Go check our buddies out at Crossbreed Holsters. They pretty much got a holster for any kind of gun you want to carry, and they are very comfortable. Troy and I wear them all the time. I will have mine on this weekend, and it will be riding in the truck with me. So go check our buddies out at crossbreedholsters.com. Carry the cross.
I'm carrying the cross.
Also, hey, PowerTac lights, man. I have had a bunch of my friends that have saw my headlamp have ordered lights. My son-in-law just ordered one of the $99 flashlights for his AR with the pressure switch and the mounting bracket and the whole 9 yards. He got it in the mail the other day, so he's ready to put that on. But man, you can't go wrong. PowerTac Lights is our new sponsor, and they're giving such a great deal, man. Anything that you find on their site that you like, it doesn't matter if it's already discounted, if it's clearance item or whatever you like, they're giving 20% off if you just use our promo code, God and Guns. And that's 20%. That's a big discount. So my son-in-law, I think that light was $99, so he got it for like $80. So it's not a bad deal. But they are very bright. They're very durable. Go check our buddies out at powertac.com, and you'll find a light that you like. Also, our affiliate link, Palmetto State Armory. You guys have been buying some cool stuff lately, and we had some people buy some stuff today, and we do appreciate that because as you buy stuff, it helps Troy and I out with the show. They give us a little love back based on what you guys buy, and hey, we buy it too.
Mm-hmm.
We use. I've been buying from Palmetto State Armory for a long time, so now it actually benefits the show. So we thank you guys and use our show link. I posted did you see the one I posted today, Troy?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yep, the Glock 44. It's out there. They got them in stock. In 22 long rifle.
44 cut in half.
I'm still trying to get an answer. I haven't got it figured out exactly if that one has a threaded barrel on it. Because I've read some reports.
I'm sure Lone Wolf will have one inside of a week.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to have one, but I read something online that said the threaded barrel version was going to come out like the 20th of January. So I'm not sure if that one's threaded or not. I can't get a clear, definitive answer on it yet. If it's like I got a little Smith & Wesson M&P 22 compact. It's got a threaded barrel. If that Glock has a threaded barrel, I'm getting one. I don't care. That's a good price. I think it was what, $359, $369, something.
Yeah,
$359.
They come with 2 mags or 1? 3 mags?
Two 10-round mags.
10 round?
Yep, they're 10-round
I
mags.
have 35 rounds in it.
I know, double stack it.
Is it a full size or is it like one of the
It's a Glock 19. It's the same size as a Glock 19.
So it's a trainer pistol.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can suppress it and plink squirrels or whatever with it.
Somebody was showing me the little Ruger Mark II 22's got a threaded barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that? It's like, it's like 9-ounce little pistol, whatever, pocket pistol. And the suppressor got big. Oh. All right, what's your guy getting activities this week?
Let's see. I didn't update that a while ago. What have I done? I've been duck hunting. Obviously, I've been out in Arkansas again and had a good time. It was a bunch of my buddies went out this trip and we had a great time, man. We didn't kill a bunch of ducks, but we did well. It was fun, and I got my first band, so I was pretty stoked on that. So cool. Everybody's asked me, like, when I posted it online, they're like, what's the significance of that? So what? I'm like, well, it's kind of a big deal because they only ban so many a year, and they're rare. I've been hunting ducks for 10 years, and I've never killed one with a band on it. And we got this one, and you call the band in. They got 1-800 numbers on them you call in, or they got report bands, which mine was a report band. So you go online with it and report it, and they give you a certificate that tells you, where the duck was banded, what it was when it was banded, who did the banding, and then when you fill out all your paperwork and stuff, and it says, where he met his demise, basically, and who did that to him. But it's pretty neat. And so I got mine. He was banded in Manitoba, Canada on August the 13th of 2018. And it said on the thing, when he was banded, he was too small to fly at the time. He couldn't fly. So, they were
carry the band.
Yeah. He was probably a hatchling in Manitoba. Well, he probably just wasn't flying good yet. So he's probably made a trip to Arkansas or down south even further, who knows, last year, and then flew back north, and then he went again, and unfortunately he met me, and he's not going to make another trip.
He met Mr. Benelli.
So I did find out too, because anybody that duck hunts, you'll see them if they get a band, they got them on their lanyards, on their calls. And I have 0 on mine, but now I'm going to have one. But I also want to get my duck mounted with the band on him. And so I called the National Banding Authority, which there actually is a national banding authority. And I called them up, and they're like, oh, yeah, we can make you an exact duplicate of the band that you got. Just, you have to send us a letter from where you called him in, and we'll get it verified that, yep, you killed him, blah, 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 and we'll get you a duplicate band.
How much is that?
$50. $50. I was like, yeah, it ain't been about that long wrapped around a duck's leg at the bottom.
Metal.
It's metal.
Get you a strip of tin and beat it out with your own little tinsels, and you'll be done.
Put that on him.
Take a picture, print it on a sticker, and stick it on a piece of metal and wrap around the duck's leg. Nobody ain't gonna look that close.
Oh, they would. I promise you. It was funny that we had some guys hunting with us, and I sent we when the band duck came in, it was a male and a female. A hen and a drake came in, and we killed both of them. Well, I got Ella hunting with us, and she's in the door, and I'll tell you, she has never been real keen on hand signals. She will do it if I can get her attention. She kind of understands, but she had her head out the door, so she marks very well. When they hit the water, she'll mark them, and she knows where they're at. So I let her out. I let her go. I sent her, and it was probably, I don't know, 80 yards out in the water, and she's going right to the drake first, which had the band on it. And she gets about 15 yards from him, and the hen starts just kind of flopping a wing on the water over to the left. And she saw that. And she's like, "Oh no, you're not getting away from me." Beeline right to him, to the hen. So she got it, and I think I posted that video out. If anybody wants to see, that's on my page. But she went and got that duck and came back, and I turned her right around and I sent her again, and she went and picked the band up. And when she got back, we were working some ducks when she was coming up the ramp. So we had the blinds pulled up over the windows, you know. All the guys are watching the ducks, and I'm calling. One of the guides is calling. And when Ella got to the bottom of the door where she was going to come up the ramp into the blind, I looked down, and she had the duck belly up. So his feet were sticking up. And I'm looking down, and I see that band in the sunshine. And the guide sees it about the same time I did. And he just kind of looks at me like, "You see that?" I was like, "I do see that." So she comes in. He's holding the duck. He's like, "All right, who shot at the drake? Who shot at the hen?" And we had 4 guys from Virginia, of all places, that were hunting with us. 2 of them were like, we didn't shoot at the drake. We shot at the hen. The other 2 did. He's like, "Well, this duck's banded." Well, we got back up the truck. Everybody had shot at the drake and put in for the drawing. So everybody's shooting. Nobody knows exactly who killed the duck. We just know who was shooting at it. So the fair thing is what we've always done. Yeah, you put a number on a piece of paper, and then you make that many numbers. You put them in a hat and draw them. And lo and behold, I didn't win. But one of the guys from Virginia didn't win either. But my buddy Rick up in Tennessee won the drawing. He's the luckiest joker I've ever seen in my life.
He bought a lotto ticket.
Yeah, I know. That's what I told him. But he actually won the duck, and because he was shooting at it too, like everybody else was. And as soon as he got it, he brought it over to me. He goes, "That's your duck, man." He said, "You were shooting at it. You called it. You called it in. You were shooting at it, and Ella went and got it." He said, "That's the perfect storm." He said, "That's your duck, man." So he gave it to me. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yes.
Let's see, where are we at? I've lost my notes again.
That's my God and Guns activities, other than fixing to make a trip to Virginia.
I don't know. I might not be driving with my back, but we'll talk about that off there. We'll find a way there. So, my God and Guns. Let's see. Daily Bible reading. I didn't have church security per se. I mean, I got church security every Sunday. I mean, I'm always got the radio on. I'm always looking, watching. But I didn't get to go to service last Sunday, so that was nice. But then I took over the second part of the church service, which small groups. And so you're just controlling the access of people and making sure people aren't, doing things they aren't supposed to. We've had quite a bit of activity around our church recently. You guys know the reason that church shooting down in Texas has caused a lot of people to rethink how they train. Most people, I shoot 5 to 7 yards. That's how far you're ever going to be shooting. No, not necessarily. If you guys shoot across the room, in a church, it's 50 to 100 feet. Depending on the size of the church, and you want to be accurate, and you don't want the bullet to pass through and hit somebody on the other side. You need to be really accurate. And that's why we do that air marshal type drills, the way I do the training, to make sure that you can shoot standing, kneeling, and get a headshot, 50 feet, 60 feet with a pistol. So the way you train and stuff is different. And I've been trying to get that across to our security team, and we've got some training coming up. I think it's probably going in March before I can get all the team together to do some of that training, with some firearms training. We're going to be trying to recruit some more security guys. So we've been talking about all that this week with my security team, church The pastor has sent us down some persona non grata, persona non grata. Wish I could speak properly. Uh, we've got a couple of guys that have been causing some problems around the church during the week, and we've had to ban those things like that going on in church. So, reading the Bible, studying the Bible, reading a lot of books. I'm reading. I think I'm reading 4 different books right now. I read one of the 4 about every day, and trying to get through them. I'll get bored with one, I'll switch to the other, then I'll get bored with that, and I'll switch to another. I'll probably go finish up 2 of them in the next couple of days, but I'll put the list on here, or show notes, in case anybody's interested in them. Several of them are on security training, on security, and on just being aware. Sheep No More is one I'm reading right now. It's what is it? Jonathan. Can't see the last name. Starts with a G. He actually was buddies with our buddy Ron Bellin. He was a Navy SEAL, and so his book, Sheep No More, is about being aware of your surroundings, being able to watch for problems coming up that you're not caught off guard. Another one I'm reading is Leadership and Training by Paul Howe. One I just finished up. Well, I finished up a while back, and then I've reread part of it this last couple of weeks. Left of Bang by Patrick Van Horn and James something. Can't remember his last name, but it's about situational awareness. It's a book written primarily for Marines who are on guard duty, of how to read body language, how to watch the way people personal space, watch how they interact with other people, things like that that set you to be able to define: is this person going to be a problem? Is this person going to be fine? He's help you screen through people, help you look for things like that. Because I'm all the time trying to improve my skills of making sure that I don't let the wolves in with the lambs. That we keep them separated. What else did I just finish up? I finished up The Aftermath a couple weeks ago by Shelby Gallagher. It's sort of a prepper book. And then I'm reading Never Split the Difference, and it's about negotiating. It's by Chris Voss. And what's up next? I don't have my whole list here, but I've got 2 more on standby. But I'm always trying to improve. I mean, if you don't keep your mind fed, and you're not learning new skills, and you're not trying new things, you're gonna turn to couch potato, and you're gonna be useless. Your brain's gonna quit working. You're not gonna be able to think. So it's always important to be feeding yourself, primarily the Bible, but other things. Learn from other people's experiences. It's a lot cheaper than going through it yourself. That's what I was always taught. A book's a lot cheaper than having to experience everything yourself. Guns, side EDC, packing up for upcoming trip. Cleaning some stuff. Been working on some body armor. Working at adding some accoutrements to that. What else have I been working on? I've got a bunch of stuff pre-staged to start reloading. I'm wanting to start loading some 308. I've got all the components to start getting back into that this winter, as it's now finally starting to get cold. It's been a crazy winter. It was like 70 degrees last week, and it's sunny, and then today it's like 20 and windy. So that's pretty much it. Switching over to EDC check, of course, the usual suspect Lock 30S and the Crossbreed Super Tuck, and I've got a soft T tourniquet, ED2 Defender, Microtech SOCOM, and the little light SR1 Battalion, S1R Baton. Jeez, I need to get some glasses. Getting old. All right, Doug, what are you packing as usual? You're muted.
Oops, sorry. Glock 19. It's got the night vision sights on it, and this one will be making the trip with us this weekend, and along with another two maybe.
Cool. All right. Got some feedback, looks like.
We did get a little bit of feedback. Yeah, one of our listeners had messaged his name Roy too. Imagine that. He said, "Hey, I've been listening to y'all's podcast for a while now. I absolutely love it. You guys are awesome. I'm getting ready to make a purchase on Palmetto, and I can't remember the Palmetto code. Does Palmetto still have one with God and Guns?" And I told him we don't necessarily have we don't have a promo code with them. They just help us out as an affiliate. So I sent him the link, and he and I talked. And he's a bow hunter and
Cool.
a deer hunter, and he was up in Indiana, and seemed like a really nice guy. And hopefully he'll find the one he wants on Palmetto. If they don't got it, it'll be they got it.
Cool. All right. Any other reviews or feedback?
That was the only one I had.
You got a lame. Is it a lame joke or a good joke? I guess I'll determine after you say it.
It's most of them are lame, so we'll just go with that off the get go.
Old people.
Called Giving Money. He said, after worship one Sunday, a little boy told the pastor, "When I grow up, I'm going to give you some money." "Well, thank you," the pastor replied, "but why?" He said, "Because my daddy says you're one of the poorest preachers we've ever had."
That's a good one. I like that one.
Not too bad.
That's pretty good. Hey, I just got they sent me an update from some of my friends here at let's see if I can do this without disclosing something. Yeah, we do it that way. So, with all the stuff going in Virginia, it has spiked Kentucky to get in business. I don't know if you can make that out or not.
I can see some of them.
The trouble is the green is the color of the counties in Kentucky that have passed the sanctuary counties, and so
Nice.
everything that's not orange, pink, and blue is green. That means those are counties, the sheriffs and the magistrates of those counties, the judge executives, have passed that they are not going to uphold any more state or federal unconstitutional gun laws. And so it's almost all green, except for, of course, Jefferson County and Fayette, which is Lexington. I think Bowling Green's going to have a hard time down in Warren County. But they're the ones that are green are past. The ones that are yellow are scheduled. So that's almost all the rest of them. And the ones that are pink, well, vote schedules are yellows, and the pink schedules or meetings are scheduled. And then there's the blue ones are in process. So they're meeting with. It doesn't come through very clear, being green, the green background. That might be a little better right there. Maybe you can see it a little better there. But the blue ones are in process. Means that somebody's working on it at the county level. Pinks are meeting is scheduled, and the yellows vote is scheduled. And so you can see Kentucky is almost all green.
That's a lot of green.
Green, yellow, and all of them except for I think red means denied. I don't even see a red. And then of course Jefferson County. I don't think there's any way in Jefferson County it'll get a vote. It won't even get recognized. Nobody will ever agree to anything because it's run by Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cesspool up there, but I think Lexington's probably going to be the same way. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But that's getting off subject a little bit. So, Bible verse. I have got a Bible verse somewhere here. This week's Bible verse is coming from Psalms 27. Imagine that. Psalms 27:1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is a stronghold of my life, and whom shall I be afraid of? When evil doers assail me to eat up my flesh, and my adversaries and my foes, it is they who will stumble and fall. And that's my verse as I go forth and stand, armed or disarmed, against tyrants. Because I don't want my children to have to be under the rule of ignorant tyrants or my grandchildren. I don't want that to be their life. I want them to have the same opportunities and blessings that I had growing up. And if I don't go and stand and be fearless, then who will? So that is my goal. Way of getting there is going to be a little fun. I re-injured my back. I guess it's Saturday before last. My wife has bought this humongous piece of furniture that weighs hundreds and hundreds of pounds, and I took two, my son and his friend, and myself and my wife, and we went to pick this thing up, and it has it's sort of blown my back, and so I've been to the chiropractor like 4 or 5 times in the last 2 weeks, trying to get my hips and my low back, my lumbar region repaired, and it's due to an old football injury from 1980. I got speared 3 times my freshman year, twice on my own team practice, once in Bull in the Ring, once because the guy won my position, and the other time was in a live game. And for you all who have not played football, spearing is where someone hits you in the back with a helmet, and so you don't know it's coming. You're not defended, and your spine is exposed because there's no padding back there because you hit people head on. When somebody hits you, it's a legal hit. They jump into you with a helmet. They're trying to permanently injure you, which happened to me. So for the last, let's see, how many years ago was that? 1980? A long time ago. 40 years ago?
Long time.
It's 40 years ago, Doug.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time. I'm an old man. what has happened?
What has happened to
40
us?
years? I was a freshman 40 years ago. That scared me. All right, so I'm not as old as you, though.
No, you're not.
Only 9 months behind, but who's counting? I guess I am. All right, so that was a Bible verse. Be fearless, guys. If they kill you, you get heaven.
That's right.
And better to be a martyr than lay down and take it, is the way I say it, or bend over and take it, however you want to say it. I don't want to do any of that. I want to die on my feet, facing the tyrant. It's a lot better than dying in an old nursing home in your own pile of poo. So might as well go out on top.
I know, right? That's what I'm talking about.
Leave a legend for your children to live up to. All right, so that was the Bible verse for this week. Main topic we've already done. And so now, if you guys can bear with us, we're going to tell you how you can help out the show. One of the reasons that we need help on the show is because I'm switching platforms because this Jitsi is a little jitsy. And so
Not jitsy.
It can come and go. It's a little flaky and it doesn't have all the features we'd like to have. So we're looking at switching over to a different platform, which will cost us about $20 to $40 a month, on top of all the other internet expenses. But I think it will help us be able to get our message out in a lot more places. It'll live stream to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, a bunch of other a ton of other places, plus YouTube. So we can be hitting everywhere at the same time, which would be better. And it offers some features that we don't currently have. And if you could help us out, we would appreciate it. And you guys have been great. And as Doug talked about earlier, we really appreciate you guys buying stuff through Palmetto. That's a really great thing. And those power tack lights are a very good deal as well. So I'll start off the Zija. Zija is the supplement. It's a company that has all kinds of health products, and the primary thing I take is the Smart Mix. I take the Super Mix, which is like two times the size of the Smart Mix, which is their baseline product that most everybody takes or likes to use. It's Moringa oleifera plant ground up into powder. You can read about it, my testimony at God and Guns, all together, dot or period, myzija, that's myzija.com. And you can see my testimony on there. If you want to sign up and be a customer, you can do that. If you want to make it a business, I can hook you up with guys that will teach you how to make it into a business. Just text me or whatever, or contact me through myzija.com, or contact me through Facebook or Detroit Guy and Guns Podcast.com. So we would like you to check that out. If you are wanting to lose weight, if you are having pain issues like I've had with back injuries over the years, blown disc from weightlifting stuff, car wrecks. I've had all kinds of injuries to my body over the years, and the way I deal with it is I take the Zija Smart Super Mix that helps with aches and pains and helps get the inflammation out of my body. And Terrace Alliance, we are a Terrace Alliance Life member. If you'd like to know more about them, just go to terracealliance.com. You can find out all about them. And if you want to become a Life member, you get a big discount. That is a group of Patriot and first responder owned companies who use their proceeds to help different charities that support our military, our law enforcement, first responders, EMTs, and things like that. So check those guys out at terracealliance.com. I did put in it's not a company that sells anything, but russbianchi.com. There's a link in here if you want to know how I lost 127 pounds in 3 months with Zija and the diet plan I was on. You can go to russbianchi.com and links in our show notes as well. And it doesn't cost you anything. It's just a little 3-page thing of what you can eat, what you don't want to eat, what you need to stay away from. And Doug, you're up.
Hey, Crossbreed Holsters, we talked about it earlier in the show. If you're carrying a gun, if you got one next to your bed, if your wife carries one in her pocketbook, Crossbreed makes a holster for you. Both of us enjoy carrying in the Super Tuck Deluxe. That's our favorite ones. But they have all kinds of them. They have the belly band, they have the bedside backup, the Freedom Carry, the drop slide. Crossbreed makes the holster for pretty much any situation that you want to go with. So go check our buddies out at crossbreedholsters.com. Use our promo code when you find the one that you want, and you will. Use promo code GNG. Get a 10% discount for just listening to the show. Next is Axelson Tactical. Hey, our buddies at Axelson Tactical make some high-performance AR custom pistols, knives. They have all kind of accessories. They got a backpack that folds out into a shooter's mat. Just all kind of neat stuff out there, and they are tack driving machines. Troy and I both have one, and we love them. So go check our buddies out at axelsonusa.com. Hey, use our promo code God and Guns, and they will give you a 10% discount over there, also for just listening to the show. PowerTac lights. This is a lot of people have asked me which headlamp do I have, so I'm gonna hold it up there. Can you see that, Troy?
Yep. Explorer HL10.
The Explorer HL10. That is one of the brightest headlamps you will ever see. It's got a low, medium, high, and turbo mode, which on turbo mode is 2,600 lumens on a headlamp. It was, dude. We were up there duck hunting this past week. We were riding in the one of the guides' boats that had one of the light bars on the front of it, and it was bright. I mean, it was really bright. But I could throw that headlamp on, and I could light up the river just about as much as he could with just that headlamp. He kept asking me, he goes, "What'd you say that light was? What is that thing?" So I kept telling him, and several other guys have ordered them since then that have hunted with me, and they like them. But go check them out at powertac.com and use our promo code God and Guns over there, and they will give you a 20% discount for listening to the show and buying a light and using our promo code. And not only do they give you a discount, but they send us a little love back on the other side too for people that buy. So they help us out with the show also. So it's a win-win for everybody. So you can't go wrong. Last but not least, Palmetto State Armory. Hey, you guys have been kicking it over there. Great deals every day. I just posted today. They got the new Glock 44 and 22 long rifle over there. And dude, I don't know when I'm going to order mine yet, but it's going to be soon. I think I'm going to email Palmetto and just see if that thing does have a threaded barrel on it. If it does, I'm probably going to have one here shortly because I just want one.
Good deal. We're up to Armed Citizen.
Hey, would you mind reading the Armed Citizen? I got to answer that. I'm on call this week, so
okay. Yep, no problem.
My work has asked me some questions. I need to answer them real quick.
Good deal. I'll jump in here. So our Armed Citizen is coming from A1F staff, and it is titled "Elderly Man Wheelchair Shoots Alleged Burglar Who Said, 'Give me that gun before you hurt yourself, old man.' A retired elderly man in a wheelchair shot his rifle inside his Arkansas home at an alleged intruder with an extensive criminal history. Captain Peterson Williams of the Mississippi County Sheriff's Department told America's First Freedom the homeowner was asked the apparent intruder to leave. The man ignored him, instead began to fix himself some food and drink. Despite the homeowner's repeated order to leave the premises, the alleged burglar began to unplug the living room TV. According to Captain Williams, the homeowner then grabbed his Remington Speedmaster 22 long rifle and once more asked the intruder to leave. But the man responded, "Give me that gun before you hurt yourself, old man." The homeowner then fired at the man one time, striking him in the leg. The alleged intruder fled from the house immediately. Imagine that, said Captain Williams. When the officers arrived, the suspect was found across the street and transported to the hospital in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Once his injuries were treated, the suspect was arrested and charged with residential burglary. Can't say that word. Captain Williams said the intruder has extensive criminal history. Meanwhile, the homeowner, he added, is not being charged since he was in lawful possession of the firearm and acted in self-defense. Well, if he's got an extensive criminal history, why is he on the street? That's all I got to say about it.
Exactly.
Good grief, people. It's not that hard. You lock up criminals, not the good people. We had, while we were here, I had a thing pop up and it said that the delegate Lee Carter in Virginia, Manassas delegate, will spend Monday in a safe house instead of the state house, as reported by Jen. I don't know what Jen was, but he's reportedly getting death threats. And so my reply was, "Don't worry, Lee. There's laws against killing you. You don't have to worry. You made a law, and they can't kill you because you made a law. So don't worry. You don't need police protection. Walk the streets in fine manner."
Did you see that the governor broke the law already by doing the executive order declaring it a gun-free zone around the Capitol there, which he voted in 2012 to put the bill into effect to block governors from being able to do that.
Right.
And he voted for it.
Exactly.
And then he turns around and does it.
I guess he needed some money. Maybe Bloomberg gave him some money. What do you think? Maybe Soros and Bloomberg gave him some money.
I saw how I'm sure they did. I also saw that they said that they were making they're cutting down on the number of staff, telling them to stay home on Monday, not to come in because of things that could happen.
Yeah.
My thing is, what's going to happen? We're just going over there to peacefully lobby for gun rights that they have done since what did they say, 2003 they've been doing it?
2002, 18 years.
18 years they've been doing this on the exact same day every year.
Well, Martin Luther King Day every year, because people are off for Martin Luther King Day, but the Virginia House is in session. And so that's why they go and do it every year on Martin Luther King Day, as we had the president on here the last show telling us about it. They've been doing it every year. And so now all of a sudden, hate groups, like people in blackface and wearing KKK outfits are going to come and do something. Like maybe the Virginia governor, So
Yeah.
I've heard most of the Virginia Democrats are not going to be there Monday because they don't want to be afraid. They don't want to be afraid. How about that? Be afraid of your own citizens. Wonder why you're afraid? Because you're doing something illegal and unconstitutional.
Exactly.
Hiding behind the state police, wanting to put people into a detention camp. It's just Orwellian, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it is.
My buddy Matt out there in Pennsylvania, I think he's still in Pennsylvania, uh, but he's been a long time listener. He posted something on the Elder Group. I think I shared it over on our Facebook page where they're going to have. I don't know if I shared that one or not. He shared a couple things, but they've got some kind of Air Force planes going to be circling over the Capitol
It's already started.
Already started.
You know, you tell me this. What other organization has went to the Capitol and marched that they declared a state of emergency for? Why is it a state of emergency? Because people are coming
They have a credible
that don't
threat.
believe in philosophy?
Have a credible threat.
Whatever.
Yeah. Oh well. You guys got anything else? Doug, you got anything else? We're gonna wrap this puppy up. Put her in the closet.
We shall see.
You still there? I can't hear you.
I said we shall see. We shall see, shall we not?
Shall we? I'm wearing a camera. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. You watch the comments over there, Doug. If you guys haven't already, please give us a thumbs up. Please share this video with other people. Share it on your social media. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. Click up there and subscribe, and click that notification thing so when we have these live events, you'll get notified. And we would appreciate that. Send in your feedback to Troy@GodandGunsPodcast.com or
Doug at GodandGunsPodcast.com.
please leave us, tell your friends about us again. Leave an iTunes review. Like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/GodandGunsPodcast. Subscribe, follow us on YouTube again. Follow us on Twitter and search for us on Instagram and follow us there. MeWe is our backup site. Should we be banned from everything else? We will reconstitute over there. If you can't find us, our email addresses should still be up. If they're not up, then I'll be working on getting us a server over in Switzerland or something so we can keep it up. They're not that expensive. Our website, I don't know what the status is on it, GuyGunsPodcast.com. I think it's going to be up real soon, maybe.
We still own it. I got to get the content.
All right. I can't say that because my son would kill me. Until next time, Doug, have a blessed week.
And keep your guns close, but keep your Bible closer.
Good night, guys. Hope
And
to see
you guys think about us this weekend.
Pray for us. And if you're coming, email us, text us, or something. Let us know. We will try to get a rally point and be able to talk. I don't know. My travel arrangements have changed due to my doctor's appointment this afternoon, so I may have to do things differently than what we talked about before. But I still plan on trying to get there in time to do everything. Good night, guys. I'm shutting her down. Any other last comments that we need to reply to?
Nope, everybody's good. Good night, guys.
Night.